The meeting to order. It is April Fool's Day, and yes, this is a night meeting this year. Stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look for a motion to approve of the regular meeting agenda.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Schumacher,
Second.
second by Commissioner Halls. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Agenda's fit. Anybody for open forum? Keisha?
Yes, Board Chair, we have one person signed up. We have Gary Tonsager of Elk River speaking on voter rolls.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Gary Tonsager. I live in Elk River, 11156 193rd Avenue Northwest. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here to address a critical issue that is affecting our election integrity, the accuracy of our voter rolls. This issue has gained national attention with President Trump's Executive Order 14248, which mandates stricter measures to ensure election integrity of our elections. In Sherburne County, we have been working diligently to assure that there are fair and transparent elections. However, recent data reveals a significant problem with our voter rolls. Specifically, there are 1,244 registered voters here in Sherburne County whose addresses cannot be verified. This includes 575 who have moved out of the county, 52 who live on vacant lots, 253 who live in commercial buildings, and 365 that have invalid addresses. The issue is beyond just our county. Across Minnesota, there are 147,131 registered voters with unverified addresses. Broken down, it goes as follows. 30,325 who have moved out of the state, 14,208 who live on vacant lots, 26,378 who live in commercial buildings, and 76,220 with invalid addresses. Executive Order 14248 directly addresses this problem and requires states and counties to take immediate action to clean up their voter rolls, mandating that all registered voters have verifiable addresses and that discrepancies be resolved promptly. This executive order establishes that maintaining accurate voter rolls is no longer optional, it's a federal requirement. In the past, these discrepancies may have been overlooked, but with the implementation of this new executive order, that is no longer acceptable. We must act swiftly to ensure that all our voter rolls are accurate and up to date. This is not just about compliance with federal mandate, it's about guaranteeing that every vote cast in Sherburne County is legitimate and that our elections are accurate and trustworthy. I urge the commissioners to prioritize this issue and allocate the necessary resources to address it. We must work together to clean up our voter rolls and ensure that Sherburne County fully complies with the Executive Order 14248. Thank you for attention to this critical matter. I have it on here, I have a sheet here that sort of gives you the statistics, and I also have a website address for that executive order. So,
Thank you. Is there anyone else, Keisha?
There is nobody else signed up, Board Chair.
Next on the agenda, we'll consider approval of proclamation designating the week of April 13th to the 19th, 2025 as Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Sherburne County. Administrator Messel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Annually in April, we recognize the work of our telecommunication workers through the proclamation of a Public Safety Telecommunications Week. I have a proclamation that is proposed for the board to consider approval tonight, and it reads as follows. A proclamation, Public Safety Telecommunicators Week 2025. Whereas 1 week every April is designated as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, This year, that week is April 13th through the 19th, 2025. And whereas the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office supports the proposition that the men and women who perform the difficult task of operating the county's 911 dispatch center deserve this recognition. And whereas the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office recognizes that our public safety telecommunicators are professionals equal in status and importance to other public safety professionals in the effective administration of justice. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners, do hereby acknowledge the week of April 13th through the 19th, 2025 as Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Sherburne County in honor of the dedicated professionals who work diligently in the county's 911 dispatch center.
Thank you, Administrator Messelt. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Felber, seconded by Commissioner Danielowski. Any discussion?
I just would like to say I'm really happy that we do this every year because dispatchers and telecommunicators are such a critical link for public safety and for getting emergency care where it's needed and when it's needed. And they're often, they're not given as much respect as they should get at times. And they're not, and a lot of times they're not included. People don't think of them as being the essential criminal justice and emergency personnel that they are. They're actually very much a first responder, although they're not actually on the scene. So we can't really thank our dispatchers too much.
Anyone else?
Yeah, no, I definitely concur. They definitely are. Without them, nobody would be able to get to the emergency. They're behind the scenes and they're not up front and center. But yet they're the vital, important part of our public safety network. So, thank you.
Yeah, they're the first point of contact.
Yep.
Yep. We have a motion and a second. Is there there's no more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Very well. Consent agenda. Bruce, is there anything pulled or adjusted?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. There is nothing that's been requested to be removed from the consent agenda. And Keisha, I don't believe we had any corrections for the consent agenda.
Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
Moved by Commissioner Danielowski, seconded by Commissioner Felber. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Consent agenda is passed. Announcements. Commission Administrator Messelt. I am not going to get that right ever.
That's all right. Call me anything but late for dinner, because my wife says I'm never late for dinner, so, Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I'll spend a couple of minutes on a few items. Some of these will cross over a little bit for our legislative update, but I do want the community to be aware of them as well. First of all, with respect to, believe it or not, COVID-19, we did have a couple of things occur this last couple weeks that have been requested to address. The first was, you may have seen at the federal level, there is some national Department of Health clawback of unspent COVID-19 dollars in the area of public health, specifically related to COVID-19 vaccinations. Amanda has done a review of that. It is a very minor impact on the county. We are currently using that funding stream for about 10 to 15 hours a week for one of the public health nurses. That can be replaced with other non-levy funds, so we do not consider it of operational significance should that proceed. Second, there was a request to address COVID-19 as it relates to telework. You may have seen that Governor Walz had made some announcements about bringing state of Minnesota employees back who had been teleworking since COVID. I did review that with the requester, but I wanted to share with the board and the community that we had already, immediately after the pandemic was over, brought people back who were teleworking because of COVID-19. We do have some telework going on in the county. It is case-by-case specific, reviewed by department heads, and it's usually considered mission critical. But with respect to COVID-19, there are no county employees that are continuing teleworking after the pandemic. Moving on, just a quick cannabis update. You'll, on the consent agenda, you saw several joint powers agreements for cannabis. Don has been working very hard, and we are just at the end stages of aligning the local cities and townships who want to work with the county on administration. Of course, we never thought it'd be such a good deal for them because the governor's proposing eliminating any of the funding coming to the county for doing this, but it's still the right thing to do to have a coordinated approach. So we'll be giving you an update probably in the next 2 weeks or a month as to the final rollout. The reason why it's becoming time sensitive is we're starting to see the end game at the state level with respect to promulgation of the rules. They are now in front of the judge, and I believe we'd call those what, administrative rules, Don? And so those will be out very soon, and we expect that licenses will come immediately after that. And so the registration program that we've been putting in place has to be ready to go. And by and large, most of our local jurisdictions are cooperating, even if they're doing it on their own. Currently, the ones that have indicated they're going to proceed on their own include the city of Elk River, the city of St. Cloud, the city of Becker. And then do we have any townships? Oh, city of Baldwin as well. Otherwise, most of the townships are working with us for administration of that, as well as the city of Princeton and the city of Zimmerman. So in Clear Lake, we've yet to hear from Gary, so we may follow up with you on the city just to make that sure. But overall, it's been going quite well, and I really, really appreciate the work. The county attorney's office has really been taking the lead on that, and we may have to have you as elected officials make the one final push for a few of them. But I know you're already aware. You've been working with Livonia. Greg, you've been in contact, and I think you twisted some arms in Orrock from what I could see, so.
Possibly.
Yeah, it was pretty hard there. Moving on, a little note on elections reporting. Lorraine is here, so I just wanted to acknowledge for the board, we will be presenting our final report on the election reporting challenge that we had last November. We have received clearance from the state of Minnesota of their review, which is called a post-election review. And so we will be prepared to put that in writing so that the board can see what has been done and what we recommend to be done. It is not substantially different from what you heard earlier, but we do want to finalize that, and we promised we would be back in front of you with that. So sometime in the next a month, we'll be back with our final report on that. And then finally, just a note on several legislative items, and again, we'll cover these greater in detail in the workshop. First of all, as you know, the deadline it's actually the second deadline for policy bills to be through the legislature is this Thursday. And the third deadline to be through the appropriations committees is next Thursday. So we're down to tea time. Greg, you mentioned earlier that a lot of bills are being left on the wayside. Some good news, first of all, our bonding bill is going to be heard on Thursday morning in the Capital Investment Committee in the House. House has to originate capital bonding bills. And so we'll be excited to present that. And then second of all is one of the other legislative priorities we have on for veterans dealing with, I'm going to get it wrong here now, so. You remember? No, I don't think it's the PTSD, but it's a veterans technical fix, and some of their language is also going to get a hearing tomorrow, and Larry's going to be down there and testifying on behalf of veteran services officers. So don't be surprised if you see him. He's got that great voice, so I'm sure he'll get some tea time for that. And then finally, also on Thursday, one of our partners, Avivo, which has been working with Benton County, City of St. Cloud, Stearns County, and Sherburne County to try to locate a 48-bed facility for managing homelessness. We'll get a hearing as well, and so we'll be down there to support that, and I appreciate all of the work on that. Did you find it?
Mr. Administrator, was the reference to the Veterans Bill having to deal with the read-only access?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, that was very good. And then last but not least, just a note also at the federal level, some good news. As you know, there's been some ambiguity about specifically some of the earmarks from last year, but it was also creating some ambiguity around an award that we did receive. So I just want to note that we've been cleared at the federal level. We received, if you recall, $1.38 million for the Trunk Highway 10 and County State Aid Highway 11 Railroad Crossing Improvement Study, and that's the piece that we're going into. And we received word that that's been cleared by the Federal Railroad Administration. That program, if you're interested, is called the Railroad Crossing Elimination Grant Program. So that was the first kind of kick-starting of that project, and we're excited about that. And then last but not least, just to note, we had a very nice, very quick turnaround visit from Congressman Emmer, who was able to come to Sherburne County, and he spent some time with the sheriff and talked about our jail bonding project. And so that was a nice visit during the recess before he headed back to Washington, D.C. With that, I'll stand for any questions the board may have.
Questions? Thank you. We'll move on to the regular agenda. We'll receive an update on Midco broadband activities in Sherburne County. Dan?
Good evening, Commissioners. Last month, staff presented a broadband report to the county board, and as part of that, ARVA gave a summary of their projects within the county the last several years and what their future looked like. So I thought I would invite Midco to do the same. They've been a wonderful partner with us. Several of our ARPA projects were through Midco. So I want to introduce Ellie Burrows, who's their Government Relations Manager.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all for letting me join you this evening. My name is Ellie Burrows. I'm the Government Relations Manager at Midco, and I started just over a year ago. So trying to spend the year learning everything broadband, and Sherburne County especially, I have to commend right away off the bat. I was telling Dan, looking into the projects that Midco has worked with you all on regarding ARPA dollars and different opportunities for partnership, you guys have done a wonderful job of making the most impact that you could. And it was really fun to see all the work that has been done here. So I'll kind of dive in because we are actually getting close to wrapping up the projects that we have left that are currently planned, and then we'll look to the future. But I have a couple slides in there that we might skip through because you guys are familiar with Midco. Is this the, okay. All right, cable, internet, fiber to the prem, phone service. This is kind of an update map of our footprint, and then we are down in Kansas as well. Just a couple of awards that we like to point out, different speed awards and things like that. Our Midco Foundation, if you guys are familiar, we take applications twice a year, and we look to partner with local organizations and the communities that we serve. So there's a few of them that we work with here. Now we'll jump right into projects. So now this is a list of all the projects that have been completed. You'll see 2024 Santiago and Palmer Townships were wrapped up with our RDOF and private capital dollars. So that was 492 passings, and then the fiber footage listed as well. I believe the last time you guys got an update, you probably covered the 2023 and older projects. Looking ahead for 2025, so what we have planned is the Livonia 3 project, and that is partnered with ARPA dollars with the county, 174 passings, and we are scheduled to start that in June of 2025 and have it completed and launched by the end of the year. So those individuals will begin to receive our service, hopefully, end of summer if the weather holds and we're able to move quickly. So now, just to kind of wrap up the ARPA projects, the total project costs were that $2.6 million, the Midco contribution, Sherburne County, and then the township partnership dollars for $35,000. And again, like I said, it was really fun to look at the projects that you guys all committed to and just everybody that you were able to reach with those dollars. So Midco investment in Sherburne County over the past 5 years. So now this is including our private capital investment, the ARPA partnership, and then RDOF projects as well. But so over the past 5 years, it's over 10,000 passings. So that's homes and businesses and folks in Sherburne County. Midco investment of over $33 million, and then those ARPA and RDOF funds. So a giant thank you to you guys, and thank you for your partnership. We continue to look for ways to partner, so we are happy to continue to serve Sherburne County. Here is a map. So this shows our future and current service. And as you'll see, that's a lot of purple. That purple is the currently served areas. And then kind of that pink salmon color is outlining the future planned service, and that is the Livonia 3 project. Now, I will say, as we look to what's next, BEAD is the hot topic in the broadband world. So that is something that we are taking a very close look at and analyzing what our opportunities would be. Midco is pre-approved to participate in that program in the state of Minnesota. The application is open and due April 21st. We do intend to apply for areas in Sherburne County, and our team is currently going through the process of analyzing. We are up to over let's see, 865 passings that we would be looking for to partner with BEAD on that. And that is increasing by the hour when I ask our team. So that is the number as of 5 o'clock today, but we continue to look to expand that. I think that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Questions?
No.
No.
Good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, good work. Yes, again, thank you guys for your partnership and all your commitment to this. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, and thank you for being willing to partner with and invest in Sherburne County and their broadband needs.
Of course.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Agenda item number 2, receive an update on activities and operation of the Great River Regional Library. Karen's got a whole team there, so.
Yeah, I can't do this one alone. Good evening, I'm Karen Punsack. I'm Executive Director for Great River Regional Library. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Jeanette Burkhart. I'm the Patron Services Supervisor for Elk River, Becker, and Big Lake.
I'm Hillary Dawson, and I am the Library Services Coordinator for Becker and Big Lake.
And some of you are aware, but I know we have a new commissioner on the board, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with our system. We are a 6-county system. We span from Staples to Delano and Belgrade to Foley. So 32 libraries in those 6 counties, and Sherburne County is one of our strong partners. So we're here to share some of the updates specific to Sherburne County tonight. Great River Regional Library has almost 100,000 borrowers. Again, we've been slowly climbing back to that number post-pandemic, and we're hoping to break that number this year. We had over 1 million people through our doors, and you can see the wide range of services that we offer in some of the statistics shown on this slide. And we have digital resources, we have physical resources, and we have 4 buildings that serve Sherburne County residents. The St. Cloud Public Library, which is one of the largest public libraries in the state of Minnesota, Becker, Big Lake, and Elk River, which is our 2nd largest location. You can see how the statistics break out per location. One of the things that's interesting this past year is the digital library continues to climb in usage. It will likely exceed the number of checkouts in St. Cloud Public Library this year sometime. It hasn't quite yet, but it has been growing in usage. And the interesting part about the borrower statistics in that 2nd column is the 98,961 borrowers are people using physical items. So books, DVDs, they actually have a physical card. The digital library is a subset of those people, so about 1/3 of our borrowers actually are using the digital library at any given point in time. Elk River is our largest location by far here in Sherburne County in the footprint of the county. St. Cloud is still the largest location, and we have a substantial number of St. Cloud residents who are also Sherburne County residents. And Becker and Big Lake hold their own. They are very good-sized, middle-of-the-road libraries in terms of size, but vital to those communities, and we're really glad to see the number of people who are using it. You can see the number of new people coming through the doors just this past year. Some of the highlights as a region last year, we broke a record in terms of summer reading program participants across the region. We're really proud of that. That number keeps climbing. We also had a substantial number of adults and teens participate in the winter reading program. You can see on the bottom left-hand corner a picture of our board. Commissioner Greg Felber is now a member of that board, but last year the Youth Advisory Council presented to our board. The Youth Advisory Council has representatives from all 6 counties. They are middle to high schoolers, and they advise us on what they want to see out of library services. They've been around for about a year, and we have 3 residents. Brooklyn, who is president, is from Elk River, and Charlotte and Natalie from Becker are Sherburne County representatives on the Youth Advisory Board, and they're a formal part of our structure now. It's really great to have that youth voice, and one of the things they're telling us is they actually want physical books, and they want nice books, and they want a nice place to read them when they come in. So, you know, you think about the youth and digital, but that's not necessarily what the youth are looking for when they come to the library. I'll turn this over now to Jeanette, and she can share some more about some of the actual programming that we're doing.
Well, thank you for your time tonight, Commissioners. I'm stepping in for the Elk River Library Services Coordinator tonight, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what Elk River is doing with the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. Whoever signs up, or families that sign up for the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, get a nice folder, and inside it are all their tracking sheets. We don't require titles to be written down. All they have to do is color a star. And the idea is that parents or caregivers read to their children to reach that 1,000 number before kids turn 5 or start kindergarten. It helps create connections with literacy and books and the people reading to the kids. It also promotes that parents are the children's first teachers. This particular library also has prizes along the way. So for every 100, or roughly every 100, the kids get something. So at 100, when they've reached that 100 milestone, they get a book bag. At 200, they get Brown Bear, which is a book. At 400, the child gets to pick any book out of the collection of books that Elk River has to offer. At 600, the kids receive a blanket. At 800, again, they receive a book of their choice. And at 1,000 books, the kids receive the book Best Word Book Ever, a stuffed animal of their choice, and a certificate saying that they completed the program. Also, around August, this particular library has a celebration for anyone that has completed the program, and the kids are asked to come back and participate in that program. For any families that provide their email addresses during their registration for this particular program, the staff send out our early learning calendar, which is based off of Every Child Ready to Read. So there are activities every day that include talking, reading, playing, and counting, and moving and exploring with your child. And then on the back side, there is an offering of suggested titles for the month, and then rhymes and a song. Today, April 1st, is Library Giving Day, and that also coordinates with our kickoff of Locally Grown, which is our annual fundraising month at the local level. For any donations that are taken across the desk or through our website designated to a specific library, that dollar amount stays at that library to be used for certain things that the library has picked. Elk River has picked a STEM exploration station, which is a light-up table and uses magnetiles that allow building and creation on this table. The goal is $750, and I encourage you to check out Locally Grown on our website. Valerie?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share how Great River Regional Libraries impact the citizens of Sherburne County. My name again is Hillary Dawson. I am the Library Services Coordinator for Becker and Big Lake. As you can see from the circulation and borrower statistics, both branches are medium-sized libraries that serve neighboring communities. As I talk about the libraries, I may not distinguish between the two. If you have questions specific to each branch, please feel free to ask. Although I will give you a couple of statistics, my hope is to give you a sense of what the library is to the community, something that cannot be measured by numbers on a page. This year has been about community connections, some formal and continuing, like our partnerships with the school, with the Friends of the Library, and with Community Ed. Our school partnerships allow us to bring programs like author visits into the schools, promote the Summer Reading Challenge to students, or share the library and its resources at outreach events like PTO Literacy Night. The Friends of the Library organizations exist to support library services, and our friends are fantastic. The Big Lake Friends acquired a significant donation from Spudfest to purchase the furniture that you see in the first in the first picture, allowing us to create a fresh, comfortable space for our patrons. They also support a large portion of our programming and prizes for our reading challenges. The Becker Friends support us in similar ways and acquired a grant from Central Minnesota Library Exchange for new furniture and shelving, shown in the second photo. We are grateful to both of them for the work that they do to enrich our space and our program offerings. Our partnership with Big Lake Community Ed offers us an opportunity of outreach opportunities, as well as hosting the ECFE at the library program and summer walking field trips to the library. This partnership allows the library to connect with youth and families both inside and outside of the library. We have also begun to connect with other resources to bring opportunities to the community. Conversations had in 2024 with Central Minnesota Mental Health Center, Sherburne History Center, Central Minnesota Dementia Community Action Network, the Oliver Kelly Farm, and others have led to scheduling enriching and educational programs in 2025. Some of the informal connections we are making and witnessing center around our resources, programming, and space. I will start by very briefly speaking to our many resources, but first I would like to ask how many of you hold a library card and are already familiar with our resources? Okay, so hopefully I will talk about something that you don't know about the library today. Most people think of books when they think of libraries, and they are right. We have a ton of books in many formats and for many audiences. Upon picking up a requested item, a mother was delighted to find that she had mistakenly ordered a title for her son in big book format. Prior to this mistake, she did not know that we had big books or that they even existed in our collection. She was so excited to share it with her son and plans to intentionally request more of these. We also offer digital books and audiobooks through Libby. Another digital resource, Hoopla, offers books, audiobooks, movies, magazines, music, and great courses. It's like having a free streaming service at your fingertips. And the beauty of Hoopla is that it's instant. So you can make popcorn and have that movie showing in 10 minutes. These can be used from anywhere too, so there is no interruption in library services for snowbirds or for vacationers, since there's no need to worry about a book being either lost or overdue. The library literally comes to you through these services. Other digital resources include database offerings, which allow access to driving tests, genealogy research tools, Britannica Online, LinkedIn Learning, and much more. Driving Tests offers car, motorcycle, and CDL practice tests. My own family has used this, and it's a great way to study and gain confidence before taking a driver's test. For my kiddo who has a bit of test anxiety, this was a huge help. LinkedIn Learning offers thousands of courses in business, technical, and creative skills that you can access for free from the comfort of your own home. Courses are available from communication and management to entrepreneurship, sales, and video production, along with everything in between. We truly have a wealth of information at our fingertips with our free library card. Some less traditional offerings include Wi-Fi hotspots and try-it-yourself kits. Wi-Fi hotspots are always in demand, and it's wonderful to be able to fill the need in the community. We have a couple of patrons who check in frequently for a lucky day hotspot to fill the gap while they're waiting for their requested 3-week loan hotspot. It is not uncommon for our hotspots to have a request list of over 200 people waiting. Having free, dependable Wi-Fi at home is a game changer for some of our patrons. Try-it-yourself kits offer an opportunity to try telescopes, pickleball, jewelry making, bird watching, juggling, playing the ukulele, and more. These kits are awesome because of the opportunity to satisfy your curiosity by trying a hobby, game, or instrument without any monetary investment. Think about this. Great River Regional Libraries provides everyone in our county the opportunity to look at the beautiful Minnesota night sky through a high-quality telescope for free, and that's pretty awesome. MinLink and printing services are accessed by our patrons every day. Whether it's the homeschooling mom looking for a specific book for her curriculum, the gentleman who comes in weekly with a list of books that he wants to access to finish out the series that he's reading, or the gentleman who is always looking for classic films. He brings us the publication dates and everything, so we request the correct film for him. We often need to rely on MinLink to access some of those items. MinLink is a fantastic resource that I've used myself many times, and it's invaluable to us. The ability to print at our libraries is huge. Many card-holding patrons and those without library cards utilize this service for a variety of reasons. It may be printing a cross-stitch pattern, shipping labels, tax or other necessary documents, and others for work, or for school projects. We had 2 young boys in, maybe about 12 years old. They set up shop at one of our tables, located pictures on their tablet, printed, and created a display board for one of their school projects that they were working on recently. The young men spent about 90 minutes in the library doing their research and printing. Their board turned out beautifully. I was really quite impressed. Programming is another way that we impact our communities. Big Lake had a total of 1,237 people attend 145 programs in 2024. Becker had 2,806 people attend 141 programs last year. Pictured is a display of student artwork, so that'll be the top right. That artwork was created at our monthly Schooled in Art program. Schooled in Art is a consistently well-attended program and is just one of the many that we offer for children. Library programming can mean a lot to those who attend, so much so that we occasionally receive thank you notes. And I was just gonna read this one to you really quickly. So here's a thank you note we received from one family. Thank you for offering the Schooled in Art program. These classes have brought so much joy to my whole family. Thank you, signed a patron. At the end of last year, we began a Coffee Plus program. It's a program designed with seniors in mind and open to all adults. The library offers coffee and activities like coloring, cards, and puzzles. Coffee Plus has been good for the community. The group who currently attend are primarily senior ladies. These ladies come together, some color with pencils, some hand sew, some knit and crochet, all the while talking and learning about each other. Some have developed friendships outside of the library, meeting to walk, or have brunch together during the week. The tendency towards isolation and the importance of social connections among seniors has come up in conversations that I've had with Central Minnesota Mental Health Center. This program is was created to provide an opportunity to connect and to offer a space and an invitation for that connection. We hope to see this program grow. The next picture on the bottom left is one of our puzzle tournament winners. Puzzle tournaments are offered monthly during the winter and are a fun way to engage in a friendly competition. There are no entry fees, and they have the opportunity to win a token prize and a photo op with that fabulous trophy. Some of the things that we do at the library are purely just for fun. Patrons really do enjoy these, especially in Big Lake. Community connections are also being made in our space. The library is a place our communities trust to be available for them. It is a safe place for students and teens to gather to hang out or to do homework. We see moms meeting and connecting with one another through some of our programming like Story Time and Tiny Tots. It's really super fun for us to watch the relationships grow among those moms as they visit and get to know each other while their little ones play at the activity table in our kids' area. Tutoring is taking place in both libraries, and seniors are finding a sense of belonging and being valued as they connect with library staff and each other. A widow was recently helped by our staff to access her husband's laptop. They also walked through some other tech questions with her. She commented on how thankful she was for the care and the compassion that she felt as staff worked her through these questions. We also have seen the library being used as a safe public meeting space for family visitation. These are just a few examples of how the library space meets the needs of the community of Sherburne County. Great River Regional Libraries connects with our communities through outreach. The libraries have attended outreach events through the schools at events like STEM Night, Rise Up and Read, and the Big Lake High School Youth Apprenticeship and Career Fair. Through Community Ed and their summer kickoff, the ECFE in the park, and by tabling at Sherburne County Public Health Celebration, and other community events like Touch a Truck. We are meeting people and sharing our resources at a variety of events. The book in the last picture was donated in a box of random books to the Becker branch. One of the library assistants helped the donor carry the box and noticed it, and then she set it aside. Being book nerds, we had to take a closer look at it. Inside the cover was a name and address of a student who owned the book, a few drawings, and a couple of notes. One of the notes said, Decorah Public Schools will march in the parade on Decoration Day, 1904. The Winneshiek Historical Society was contacted through an internet search of the town Decorah, Iowa. I'm pretty sure I just did not pronounce that that name correctly, but, so we accessed that historical group through the student's address. They were excited to receive this little piece of history, so we mailed it to them. It's just a serendipitous way that libraries benefit us all, especially history buffs in this case. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have a couple of items to leave with you if you don't mind. Hoopla and Minlink, bookmarks, and then a flyer that talks a little bit about the Try It Yourself kit.
You're not going to leave the big book?
You have to check it out with your library card.
Okay.
Well, and thanks for the time to share. I mean, you can tell we've got some really passionate staff working for us, and that's a real blessing too. One of the things I wanted to point out is, in addition to Commissioner Felber being on our board this year, we also have Jane Dietz, who is our president, who's a citizen member from Sherburne County, and Laura Kangas. So of the 15-member board, there are 3 who are Sherburne County representatives. I brought along with me, because at the Great River Board meeting this month, Great River Board passed a resolution in support of Minitex and advocacy for Minitex. Hillary mentioned Minlink. Minlink is a service that we use to do interlibrary loan across the state. Interlibrary loan means you can get a book from University of St. Thomas, University of Minnesota, St. John, St. Ben's, Thief River Falls Public Library within a couple of days. It's just one of those services that runs behind the scenes. What's happened is, as you know, federal disruptions, and the IMLS funding has now come into question. In the state of Minnesota, the majority of federal library funding goes to the state library, and then it's subgranted to Minitex. And Minitex is the agency that handles interlibrary loan, the Electronic Library of Minnesota, which is a huge number of databases that are available publicly to any resident, but it's primarily school, public, academic libraries that use it. And the Minnesota Braille and Talking Book Library is also impacted by federal funding at the state library. So there is concern about Minitex as an agency right now. Not only is the federal funding in question, they've been running deficits for a while, and the cost of offering these services continues to go up. So at the state level, there's some bills to support Minitex operational funding. The resolution in front of you just is an expression of support for Minitex as an agency. And the Great River Board did pass this resolution. They asked that we send it to all 6 counties for consideration as well. Because while we don't receive a lot of federal dollars directly, we receive a lot of services directly that are impacted by federal dollars and state dollars. And without these services, our services won't be the same. So we would ask your consideration for support of Minitex in this resolution. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Schumacher.
I was excited to hear the young students still like to grab books and still read them in paper print. I actually enjoy that as well, whether it's 3 newspapers or I have a favorite book too that I have given away 100 copies plus of, but that's great to hear.
Yeah, it is refreshing. I mean, you look at this group of kids, I don't know if I can get them. They've only been in existence for about 1.5 years, and running a group of teenagers on Zoom is interesting. But boy, when you gave them an opportunity to share their story in front of the board, they were there. And they were really excited about reading. And, kids are on tablets all day at school. They're on their, electronic homework. Sometimes you just want to read something in paper when you get home. And it's good to remember that.
Thank you for that. Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Randolski.
thank you very much for the great update and presentation. Libraries are really important. They serve a need of not only books, but like what you referenced, spaces for people to gather and interact with each other. And not every, even for seniors, even for young families, and obviously our youth. But not every community has the ability to offer a senior center or something of that nature. And the library somewhat starts to serve that purpose, especially when you offer things that will attract the senior community. So thank you so much for doing that. One other thing I'm just going to point out too, that not everybody has access to affordable internet. Internet is not always cheap. And I just want to share a story that it was probably maybe about 6, 7 years back. There was a young man that I noticed in the parking lot at the Big Lake Library branch. And he was sitting outside of the library, and the library was not open. It was closed at that time. But he had his laptop, and he was doing his homework, taking the Wi-Fi that the library had, and taking that opportunity to access that. And so there's a lot of those things out there, too, that people don't realize that a lot of people rely on for those services as well. So thank you guys so much for what you do in supporting the library. I'm a big believer and a fan of supporting libraries. Not everything needs to be done on the internet or by Google. So, yeah.
Yeah, the internet is vital, and Hillary talked about our Wi-Fi to go program. We boosted parking lot internet in, I think, all of the locations, maybe not Becker. I know Big Lake, Becker too. So all of the locations in Sherburne County with our ARPA dollars, we actually boosted the signal in the parking lots of the library so that it was available, a better signal is available 24/7. One of the things I should point out is, I don't know how much you follow the federal stuff, but there's a question about Universal Service Fund. Universal Service Fund is that little fee on your phone bill. The funding that we use for internet is tied to the Universal Service Fund. So some of it is E-rate discount, and some of it is state funding that says you need to file for an E-rate discount in order to get the state funding. So all of that could be in question depending on what happens. You know, we're going to do the best we can with the dollars that we have, but these are really vital services, and people don't necessarily think of the library and internet, but
Yeah, they don't
in
time
some
it.
places, the library is the place where you can connect, and that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I was really, frankly, I didn't know that much about the library before I got on the board. But I was really pleased to see all the stuff we have going. And I think it's, one thing that it really, like, Minitex is really, really important. I mean, it's money that's spent, but overall, that keeps the cost of library services down by sharing those resources. Everybody doesn't have to buy those resources. So I think it's one of those things you can definitely talk to whoever represents you and let them know that they should support that Minitex funding.
I think one of the stats we shared at the board meeting, Jamie had just done a quick look at how many people had requested a book. So we, on our website, if you want a book that we don't have, it's called Suggested Title, you fill it in. 16% of the items that were requested since the beginning of the year were interlibrary loaned instead of purchased at Great River. So it's about 960 items. Multiply that times $25. That's roughly the dollars we would have spent out of local funds in order to get maybe a one-off book. And that's just one small snippet of what they're offering.
Anyone else?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So typically with a partner request like this, we'd prepare it for board consideration at the next meeting so that I can work on the language and, you know, make sure that it's in the right format for you to consider.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 3, discuss memorial opportunities and consider approval of county policy for designating the naming of county highways or highway segments. And Andrew just came out of the woodwork somewhere. Not sure where you were hiding, but you're here.
I've got a few hiding spots, Commissioner. No, I'm just kidding. Good evening, Mr. Chair, county board members. At the request of the county board and a few inquiries from the public, we've put together a draft policy for naming of county highways. First, I'd like to kind of talk through a little bit of some of the opportunities that we currently have in place, that being the park memorial dedications. So we've got 3 different levels we've created within the park memorial dedications, differing costs. stone benches, wood benches, and then a tree with a plaque for people that want to memorialize a loved one or somebody that was important to the community or anything of that nature. The other opportunity that we have is our Adopt a Highway program. It's fairly active, but we do have a lot of open segments. We do ask that they go and help clean up the community and pick trash along those stretches of highway. But as part of that, we do put up our standard Adopt a Highway signs, which you've probably seen on either our county roads or probably more so on the interstate and MnDOT system. We just had a new person sign up last week in and around the County Road 73 Big Lake area, so that was encouraging. But as part of that, they can also honor somebody, loved one from the community as well, and put their name on that. And we pay for the signing for that in exchange for the assistance in keeping our roadsides clean. For consideration today, we did put together that draft policy for naming of county highways and segments. It is attached to the agenda. I'll kind of go through and highlight some of the key points in the draft there, noting that it is the county board's sole discretion to approve any requests that come forward. It is an honorary naming, so the official name of the road and the official road designation does not change with that. The candidate must be somebody of notable and enduring contribution in the community. And then it kind of lists some examples there of individuals, whether it be veterans or firefighters, law enforcement officers, maybe a Sherburne County employee can be considered as well. And then probably the last item of importance is that we did put kind of a limit on the number of years that this would remain in place, and then it could be reevaluated after that. We figured that 10 years was probably an appropriate amount of time to allow that honorary designation to remain in place before revisiting it. And then, of course, obviously, we've got our highway roadside sign standards that we need to follow in conjunction with any one of those requests that do end up getting approved. So we have had discussions in regards to this at workshop in the past, but with that, I will open it up for any questions or comments.
Questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Danielowski.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I appreciate, it's been a bit of a timeline since I was first contacted with this request to have something so a family could recognize a service member in their family that had very much distinguished service to our country. And so it's been a process, but I'm glad that we're getting to the point to where we're finally getting something done that somebody can come forward and recognize a loved one through this process. So thank you for sticking with it and getting it to this point. I think it looks good.
Mm-hmm. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Brad, you okay? Oh, I was going to say, I did have a chance to run this by a couple of other county administrators and city managers, and they did make a recommendation, which is not in the draft, and Andrew and I kind of talked about this before, and that is sometimes, I'll call it the law of unintended consequences. If you do a memorial tree and you have a plaque, then the family decides they're going to put up LED lights in the winter, or the flowers and the stuffed animals show up, and that's fine, it's appropriate, but they also need to be removed, especially if they're in the right-of-way or they're a safety issue. So they recommended having a 12th condition, and I'll just read what I wrote down after talking to them, that no other markers, plantings, lighting, temporary signage, flowers, or memorabilia be placed on, adjacent to, alongside, or below the designated memorial markings or signage. So it just basically says, we're doing the sign, it's, in honor, it's the Andrew House, Memorial Highway. It's a clear segment, so it's designated, but then if,
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah. But if we want to, if somebody wants to bring a stuffed animal, it's like, well, we really don't, that's not the intent here. So that was one recommendation, just to kind of tighten it up, so that if any question comes up, we say, this is the memorial we're doing, not creating an area.
That's pretty solid, because some people have a tendency to want to create gigantic roadside memorials.
Yeah, and I'll just give you my experience in Moorhead. We had the tree where you did a tree and a plaque, and it got tough because, one particular family almost wanted to make it a shrine. And that was not the intent of the city
Right.
council, was not intent of the park.
Right.
And it almost detracted. In their mind, it didn't, but it detracted for the park and the intention. So to avoid that, I think we just be clear up front. This is what we can do, so.
Do we need a motion?
You could do it, you could approve it as policy today, or we can bring it back on consent at the next meeting where we clean it up and make it a county policy. It's you're comfortable. If you want to adopt it today, then I'll clean it up post vote. But I would recommend the inclusion of the 12th criteria, so.
Motion by anyone?
I would motion that we adopt it with the provision that,
The 12th amendment that he.
the 12th amendment that he just brought up.
And I'll
The amendment being to prohibit any sort of additional memorial decorations or flowers or anything of that sort near the
Yeah, and
actual memorial sign.
I'll
think that
second
covers
that motion.
Any discussion? I'm just glad he picked you, Andrew, as an example, not me or any of us else.
I feel like it's par for the course, but yeah.
And we wouldn't want your complete set of Santa bears or something out next to your sign.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
So what we'll do is we'll put this on our policy structure, give you a copy, it'll be post hoc, but then I'll also, for our application process, we're going to be using basically the adopt a signage application. It collects the same information. And then the vetting process, it'll come to us, it'll go to the county engineer, county attorney, county administrator for review, and then it would come to you for final approval with a recommendation from staff.
Be great.
Quick question, is this something that we'll put then on our website page for people to be able to access?
Yeah, we already have the Adopt a Highway and the park. And I think at some point we'll probably come back to you. I know, Greg, I just noticed we didn't put on here, you wanted to talk about the county. I didn't know if it was the county comp plan or the county parks comp plan on the 15th of April. It didn't get listed on the agenda. But sometime in the future, we'll talk about parks dedication and memorials too. I know Andrew and Gene have been working on it, and we're not fortunate to have the naming rights yet for a park or anything, but we do have the bench and we do have the trees. We just want to make sure you're comfortable with where we're going with that. Yep.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Commissioner correspondence.
I'll hop in real quick.
Real quick.
I've been up since 2 while I'm away. The just a couple of things. First off, had a number of correspondence over the last couple of weeks with some of our local legislators as well as constituents on a number of separate issues. One I'll bring up toward the end of this that I would like to discuss in the future. Second was we had our EDA meeting. Commissioner Danielowski and I had our EDA, we're on the EDA meeting 2 weeks ago. That continues to go quite well. I think one of the things that we're striving for is setting up the county to be successful is bringing in businesses, right? That's and there are some fundamental things we need to do in order to help that happen. One of those things is around making sure we have the right housing for employment in the county, and I think we're making good strides in that direction on being able to set policy up that will help drive the right kind of housing in the county so that we can attract employers into the county. So that's going quite well. The other meeting that we had was with the Congressman Emmer's office. Obviously, things are quite busy in DC, but his meeting was quite positive, and I think things are moving along nicely there. And then the last piece, actually, you brought it up. I was going to bring it up as well because I do think we talked about it each year. We need to bring, and from my perspective, it's the comp plan in general I don't know if that's what you were intending. Up annually, not for wholesale redo, but the situation changes, the environment changes, and we need to be able to adjust. So I didn't see it on a future workshop. I just want to make sure that it gets put on a future workshop so that we can take a look at that, and it's probably worth sending out a copy to the board of the current iteration of the plan so that we can all be prepared for that.
Yeah, and I think I responded back to the request, and I wasn't sure April 15th, but, it should be listed as future agenda at a minimum, and that's on me, so I apologize for that. But yeah, we did get that, and now that I understand it's the comp plan, I'll have Lynn brush off the current version, send you electronic links to it in a minimum, so you can take a look at it.
And what I'm envisioning on this is that I think it'd be helpful it's obviously a workshop item, but I think it's an interactive discussion. And then it's incumbent on us to make sure that we've done our homework ahead of time, so it can be a productive discussion.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful to have a discussion of the discussion at a workshop, because you're going to, let's say, dig deep. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, comp plans are usually very long and cumbersome processes. You hire consultants, you have all kinds of community meetings. So, we should just definitely spend some time and figure out where the board's at, and, there's ways to amend it, obviously, so, yep.
I'll look that way. Brad?
I'm going to open with April 8th, 2025 is the Baldwin City election for Sunday liquor sales. It's kind of going backwards in time. You would think that would be approved, but since they're a brand new city, they have an election coming up. So I did have some discussions with Fairway Shores and Ridgewood Bay, a couple of people that are in the district that sell alcohol on Sundays. I also attended the Rum River Watershed meeting. Very good. There's a new signage that's coming out. Hopefully I'll be able to bring it in on the next meeting coming in June, which will come through. It does look really good. So when people drive by, they'll see the dollars that were invested through the watershed through there. It's an optional sign that the property owner can put up, but they've got that put together. Went to the City of Princeton meeting, helping understand the difference between front door cannabis versus property line cannabis. It's a never-ending process. I did express to them about the exact same extent that they feel at their council about how they're overextended, like the marathon never ends for cannabis. But I did want to bring that up to you guys. I don't see any action to move that. And then I attended, Gary's Barbershop in Princeton. I did not know that was such a political place. Highly recommend. Doesn't give you a discount on your haircut. It looks like this when you leave, and you'll pay full price. But the political conversation was incredibly impeccable. I couldn't believe it. And then I wrapped up with Saturday. And I got to use the word correctly. On Saturday, I was at the governor's mansion as a spectator to the protest for state employees who have to come back to work 50% of the time. As a spectator on the side, this was a licensed, permitted protest, but it was very interesting to see and hear the conversations around the entire environment, and I just enjoyed my time as a spectator at the protest at the governor's mansion. And it does look like he may have moved back in. I had some questions because he moved out for the remodel, but I think he's back there now. So with that, that'll wrap up where I was at.
Just so you know, if you ever go to Andrew's place to get your hair cut,
Yeah.
you leave, you say, I got my hair cut, and you say, yeah, all three of them, right?
Yeah, all three, yeah, and it's full price. You don't get a discount based on the hair, yeah, and it's not the chairman's barbershop, it's Gary's Barbershop in Princeton.
You don't want me cutting your hair.
No, I was there. I couldn't believe what I walked myself into.
Rayanne or Greg? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next? Greg? Rayanne?
I'm next, okay. So let's see, April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month, that's important. National Autism Awareness Month, National Child Abuse Prevention Month, National Donate Life, about promoting donating organs and tissue, National Parkinson's Awareness Month, and National Public Health Week is April 1st through the 7th. So those are some important things in April. As far as what I've been up to, 318, the Building Resilient Economies in Coal Communities national program through NACO ran out of funding, so it is ended, but there's a lot of really good networking that happens through that. So we had a meeting with Pam Eaton, Grace Blanchard, Carla Vita, and myself to try to figure out a way to continue this. And that's going to be done. Grace Blanchard from NACO is going to be taking the lead on that in terms of getting meetings set up, small groups, so that we can still keep some sort of communication going between all the coal-affected communities across the country. So that was a worthwhile activity. Then I was at the Great River Regional Library meeting and the finance meeting, and we've really already talked about the main thing that was there is the Minitech support. The 319 was the Forensic Lab Advisory Board, which is the forensic lab that we have that does our forensics for Sherburne County. They're doing a great job. They're still getting staff trained. One important thing for everyone and is that I should get a hold of Big Lake and Becker and let them know personally for sure yet, is that they're still doing training for law enforcement field staff. That's coming up in May and October, and that's where they actually help the officers learn how to preserve the evidence that they find at the scenes the best way. And actually, even sometimes just preserving the scene, because sometimes you don't realize the way that they can get evidence, particularly DNA evidence, is so much easier to obtain now. I mean, they can do touch DNA with this very small amount, put in a DNA replicator, and figure out what bad guy was at the scene. So those are some good trainings that are coming up. Energy conservation and optimization stakeholder webinar. That was funded by the taxpayers. It's funded by ratepayers, actually, for the national utilities. It was something that's put on by Minnesota climate organizations, the state. They're doing a study on how energy use is being done in the state of Minnesota, but it's going to be pretty much all behind the meter type activities. They're not going to be looking at how power itself is produced, just how it's used in ways to make that more efficient or possibly save more power. And that'll be going on about 2 years. That'll be about a 2-year program looking at Minnesota's clean energy build and looking at Minnesota's building codes. Parks Advisory Board meeting. Probably the main thing we did there was we went through the park regulations update. We're looking at some park regulations updating. One of the things that we talked about was electric assisted bicycles on the trails. And now, I mean, I've been to other jurisdictions where electric bicycles were 100% banned, but apparently that's not a good idea here because most of the big trails around us allow electric bicycles, as it turns out, and it could possibly have a problem for us in our regional designation. One of the things to remember about the electric assist bicycles is they can travel between 20 and 30 miles an hour. And I'm bringing that up partially because that will come back later in tonight's conversation. So we're not going to change any of that. We're looking at some other changes that will come up, and I'll let you know as it goes. And we are actively working on our National Register nomination for our 2 inlets park. I went to DNR Sand Dunes open house at the Becker Middle School. There's some good conversations there. There wasn't a whole lot to pass on from there. I went to a Thriving Communities webinar on solar. They're talking about different places to put solar. In Urbana, Illinois, they've put solar on a landfill, which seems like a pretty good way of using landfill space. They're able to do it. You can't drill into the top of the landfill because the landfill is capped. So they actually have their solar panels sitting on a floating platform. Interesting. Just interesting way to do things. Other cities, City Decatur, Illinois, this is an Illinois-based outfit that was putting this on. They did parking lot solar canopies, which are always a good idea. And they have a lot of grant-provided funding down there, which we'll have to see what sort of grants survive this current process and, maybe look into some of that ourselves. I went to NACO webinar and bridging the workforce and bridging the generational divide in our workforce. They had some good ideas. I think we're working on a lot of that already here. We've got a pretty good program for getting people together inside the county. Energy Transition Advisory Board. Representative Larry Kraft has replaced Representative Meckland on that board, and Dwayne Quam is now the House Speaker appointment. of the things we talked about there that was probably the most important, because I mean, it's a 3-hour meeting and I'm not going to bore you with everything. There was an update from Minnesota Power up north, and they are working on one of their transitional units are the Boswell plant, and there's 2 units there. One of them is going to be definitely transitioned to be 350 megawatts of gas. The other one, they're hoping to have it be a combination gas biomass burner, but the biomass is not yet approved for 2040. But one of the things that I thought was most interesting that they were talking about is that their IRP, which is your resource plan, how you plan to produce energy for the next 15 years. All the energy companies have to file these on a regular basis. Includes 750 megawatts of new natural gas. That's obviously not going to be built in the state of Minnesota, but they're going to have to. That's a concession to the fact that realistically you cannot plan for the future without fossil energy at this point in time. The realism of that is why I wanted to bring that one up. And they're hoping, in the long run, the natural gas plants could possibly be transitioned to something like hydrogen in the future, or carbon capture tech may eventually become available. I know the Swiss are working on a carbon capture tech, so that kind of stuff is something that we can think about. Or keep your eyes out for in the future. We talk a lot about data centers, and that's part of where this whole thing comes up. Data centers suck a lot of power, and we're going to need to figure out how to do those. The CMRP, I did review all the materials for the CMRP. I like the D4, which is the one way out west of Monticello, the best, and that's the bridge over the river. And I know Marianne will talk more about it because she's direct on the board and went to the meeting. Solid Waste Long Range Planning Committee, that was today. We're just kind of looking at how we're going to move solid waste management in Sherburne County forward. We talked a lot about a possible transfer station and getting more involved in organic waste separation. And there's some opportunities to move that to other types of energy producing activities, which is something I'm very interested in. There's a new anaerobic digester being built down in Scott County. Let's see, still working on the NACO leadership program. I went to the Orac Township meeting. Wasn't a whole lot to cover from there. And I also went to the Republican CD6 convention last weekend. So that's about it.
That's all.
And what he didn't tell you is at the energy transfer meeting, Greg single-handedly shut down the entire Oak Park Heights City Hall.
I'm still blaming that on faulty electricity.
Yeah.
I went to plug my computer in, and the outlet sparked and everything shut down.
Like,
so
poof.
it felt like a Christmas story moment, actually. If you think about the movie. So
Yeah, it was really good. So.
And Mary McCumber is a force to be reckoned with. So you
absolutely.
better watch.
Well, fortunately, I won't see her for a while directly. We have to
Maybe
hide.
she'll forget by then. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the 19th of March, I attended the SUP Coalition meeting, and I just want to remind everybody that there is they're going to be doing a substance event called What's New? Navigating Substance Misuse. It will be this Thursday, April 3rd from 5:30 to 8. It is open to adults and middle and high school kids. The location is at the Station 1 Event Center in Zimmerman. So please come out and hear and listen to the issues of our cannabis and what it can do to our youth. So just wanted to remind everybody of that. Also on the 20th, also attended a Minnesota open meeting law and remote participation webinar on that afternoon of the 19th. On the 20th, attended the county EDA meeting, and Commissioner Hulls had reviewed that. We also got a really good presentation from an update from Elk River on how they handle their housing rehabilitation loan. So there was good information from that, and I think we're getting a lot of input as to how we want to roll out what it is that we're looking to do to provide opportunities for moving the housing needle in Sherburne County. And then on the 21st, I attended the Big Lake Sup Coalition meeting, and that is at the high school. We have a lot of good participation. We have a very good group of kids through their EPIC program that are really engaged in making sure that they are trying to be part of the push that you don't need to be involved in substance abuse to really enjoy your life in your high school. Also on the 24th, I attended the Options Board meeting, attended the chamber meeting on the 25th. I was at a leadership conference from Wednesday through Friday afternoon. Also on Thursday of the 27th, I attended the CMRP meeting, and we moved quite a bit of things. We reviewed our joint powers financial statements. We got an update on our Pell study in regards to the bridge and what we're looking to pick the location of where eventually that bridge crossing is going to land. We also had a presentation on local projects and other events happening with MnDOT and what is being planned for our area. Let's just put it this way, we got a lot of road construction love coming our way, so stay tuned. As we all know, what do we have? Winter and road construction in Minnesota, so. Also, we did talk about our nonprofit next steps update. We got that, so we've made the transition to a nonprofit. And then, as was alluded to, we had a solid waste long-range planning meeting, but I wasn't going to say anything because I think on our agenda it says we were supposed to update through the 31st, but we'll go for the 1st. I don't know if that was just a suggestion. Keisha? No? Okay. All right. And then also I did want to talk about, we passed on the consent agenda, the discussion of the Beltline through the APO which is the St. Cloud Area Planning Organization. And I just wanted to give a little update. The Beltline has been something that has been talked about and working on planning to create a way for you to avoid going through the center, I'll call it's called a roadway continuity for mobility, a congestion reduction mitigation, accommodating the growth of the next 20-plus years that will be happening up in the St. Cloud area. And the public has consistently requested a roadway to be developed to circumvent the urban core of having to go right through the center of St. Cloud to get anywhere if you want to go north or south, east or west. So that is what the Beltline is. When you hear that being talked about, that is the goal of what that is. And it takes a long time to plan for these things. You've got to have a lot of cooperation of the jurisdictions that are in the area of where that Beltway will go. And you do have to talk about how do you preserve areas so they don't get developed, and then the cost to do something is going to be greater at some point. So that's just a little update in the history of the Beltline. And that's it.
Wow, you guys were busy.
What'd you do?
Not much. Well, Greg forgot one. It's Take Down Tobacco National Day of Action. So I just wanted to add, and you realize I'm the public health nut on regards to that, but, so I thought I'd throw that one out there. March 20th, I did the planning and zoning meeting, and then I did the video conference with Martin McAllister in regards to the county attorney position. Other than that, that was the calm before the storm, I think. I just looked at my month of April, and I'm swamped. One thing I do report, though, that it seemed like every day was a phone call in regards to something. I'm not sure if that's being the chairman or what, but it was airport, gravel pit. There was a call in regards to something every day that wasn't a 5-minute call. It was an hour-long conversation in regards to stuff. So some hot topic issues that people wanted to talk about. So other than that, I think we'll take a break. Bruce?
Just one thought with Rand's update, and I'm just wondering, it's been a while since I think we've had the APO down here. to talk about the St. Cloud APO, and, you know, you mentioned the Monticello Bridge, and there's, of course, the issue with the St. Cloud area. Is there interest in the county board of maybe sometime later this summer to have the APO come down and talk about their regional planning of the St. Cloud area?
Yeah, I think that would make sense, and Brian and the staff are more than happy to come down, because it has been a while, you're right.
Yeah.
And there are
That would be
things that
good.
are moving along and progressing, so.
Okay. And then the other, I'll put that for a future workshop. The other thing that's not on the workshop, but I did mention on April 15th, we do have scheduled a presentation by the St. Cloud Regional Airport Authority here. And so that will be on the 15th as well, if you want to note it for future workshops, if you're interested, so.
I was going to mention you're talking about getting calls every day as the chairman. That's one of the reasons I'm really happy that we do rotate our chair, because that way everybody gets to share the responsibility and share the pain. So, I mean.
Share the pain.
Yeah, just everybody gets a shot at figuring out just all the things that really come into the county, which I think is valuable for all of us.
Right. Yeah, some of those phone calls are really good. Some of them are very tough to deal with.
Yes, absolutely.
Challenging, so. Take a 10-minute break here, 7:30. Sounds good.
I think we're on.
Are we a workshop out here, Bruce?
Here, you can go back, they're both staff presentations, so it's, you know, totally up to you.
If a lot of people are staying, we should probably have it out here.
Yeah. Okay, well, when we see who's left after the break, we can pull a chair
Yeah.
up for Andrew, so.
All right.